It is 4 p.m. We're bringing you the developing news.
And the stories behind the headlines. This is Storycon. I'm Patrick Paez.
I'm at Lingao, and here are some stories we're watching this Monday, May 13. President Bongbong Marcos has formed a special committee on human rights coordination. The so-called super body will, among others, probe alleged human rights violations by law enforcement agencies. Meantime, Amnesty International Philippines says the creation of the body is unnecessary and does not make any impact on the country's actual human rights cases. American maritime expert Ray Powell says China is sending a, and we quote, huge force to Scarborough Shoal. This is ahead of the Atinto's second civilian mission to the area this week. Powell said this will be the largest blockade in Scarborough he has ever seen. At least 4 China Coast Guard vessels and 26 Chinese maritime militia vessels are expected in the blockade.
The Interagency Committee on Foreign Students meets today to address the supposed influx of Chinese students in Tuguegarao City. Based on the Bureau of Immigration's record, around 1,500 student visas were granted to Chinese nationals in Cagayan. But only 485 of them are enrolled, with on-site students less than 100. And the House of Representatives will invite Michael Yang to the next hearing in connection with the 3.8 billion peso drug bust in Pampanga last year. Yang was the presidential economic advisor of former President Rodrigo Duterte. It was found that Yang's interpreter, Lincoln Ong, is an incorporator of a firm with alleged links to Empire 999. Empire 999 owns the warehouse that stored the illegal drugs.
And joining us today, Pamintuan, the editor of the Philippine Star, and Ronald, Llamas, our resident political pundit. Gandang hapon sa inyong lahat at merry happy weekend. Ay, mali. Happy week.
Gandang hapon, Ed, Patrick. Ami. No? Maulan ba dyan? Maulan dito.
Nag-uumpisa na nga, oo.
Okay, Ami, what's the banner of the Philippine Star for tomorrow?
Puro China, parang China watch itong mga stories ngayon, ano? Apart from the stuff that you mentioned already. Sumagot na yung atin ito, hindi naman daw sila natatakot dyan. Mukhang China is preparing a blockade. Kung matutuloy man yon, kung tama si Ray Powell, tuloy pa rin daw yung atin ito. Bukas sila, they're embarking tomorrow. And in the meantime, yung DFA naman, iimbestigahan daw nila yung wiretapping.
Alleged wiretapping.
Na
okay.
allegedly wiretapping by the Chinese embassy of its conversation with the the Westcom chief who's on leave. So bine-verify pa nga yung authenticity actually ng conversation na yon. And yan din, related pa rin, isa pang Chinese national, si Michael Yang. Actually, ang balita sa Chinoy community, matagal nang wala siya sa bansa, and even his Chinese allies, wala na raw, hindi na daw makita ng NBI eh. Si Michael Yang daw, even before, nung nag-umpisa, nung pumutok pa lang yung family, he made himself scarce already. So, ewan ko kung sinong sisipot dyan sa probe na yan.
Yan, and there's another China-related story, Ami, no, in our headlines.
Yes.
Yung tungkol naman dun sa mga student visas na binigay ng Immigration Bureau sa mga Chinese students na maraming, umabot ata sa 1,000.
1,500.
Oo, pero ilan lang yung nag-enroll?
482. So, merong 1,000 na nawawala.
Ayun, oo.
Baka nandyan sa Philippine
Yan
Star,
naman.
Ami.
Yung
Baka
total na
nandito
binigay
marami
na...
dito sa South na mga pogo. Baka nandito sila.
Teka, Toto, 16,200 Chinese granted student visas.
Yes.
Okay.
Ganon karami. That's 60%. That's 6 out of every 10 student visas that we've issued to foreigners.
Were granted to Chinese
Although ang sabi
students.
ng Chinese organizations, hindi daw yan lahat tumuloy eh. Yan ang sabi naman nila, na hindi
Yeah, that's
daw
also
lahat
possible.
natuloy yung
Hindi lahat,
pag-enroll.
Yeah. And also, some of them were, were I don't know if you'd call it remote learning. Kumbaga, hindi siya
Yes.
in
Pumasok.
Hindi siya in person.
Hindi siya in person, not necessarily, but that's not the same as hindi siya in country.
Hindi siya in country, oo.
No, I mean,
At saka yun nga daw.
they just said it's not in person this university, but does that mean that they're also not in country? Or could they be here but they're doing it remote?
Yan ang medyo malabo. Sabi ko nga, baka nandito nga sa South.
Or they could be in another place other than Cagayan.
Yeah, di ba?
Yes,
Baka sa,
yes.
enrolled sa Tarlac. Tarlac siguro.
Sa Bamban.
Sa Bamban.
Baka nasa bamban niya.
But all we know is that they're doing it via remote.
Yun.
Sobrang galing
Yes.
pala natin mga eskwelahan, no? Daming gustong mag-enroll. no?
But to be fair, we get a lot of foreign students. I think.
Pero usually, mga dati, mga Koreans. No?
Yeah, Koreans. There
Dito.
was a time Korean
Tapos
students
na,
were here
oo.
learning English.
Pero yung mga bansa na magagaling ang eskwelahan, hindi naman pumupunta rito eh.
Yun.
No? Mas language yung kanilang...
But there was a time we got a lot of flying students from India and Bangladesh.
Medical
who were-
students.
And
Saka
medical students from
African.
Africa, from African
Pero noong
countries.
1960s, lahat ng mga engineering
African.
students sa region dito pumupunta. Well, magagaling ang ating
Mga medical
engineering
schools natin pinupuntahan ng mga African.
Yes. And then during the
Marami tayo.
During the Iran-Iraq war, I remember maraming Iranian students dito. They came here to escape, I think, the draft. Parang ganon.
Pero yun nga but those were were
Ibang panahon.
countries that were at war or in bitter
Yes.
conflict or
No beef with us. Kumbaga, there was no beef with the Philippines, right?
not to be suspicious, but
I guess this is what complicates things, right?
Wala.
It's what complicates things right now.
not being suspicious.
Wala.
Especially if you
Saka
have
ang isa
stories
pang
like that.
komplikado dito, malaki yung dito, yung Chinese-Filipino community.
Right. Oh, I
Kaya
think-
they cannot, yes. Kaya meron din silang links dito, kaya nagpupuntahan dito.
Right. Oh, I mean, 20%. I understand. That's the
Yes.
estimation of scientists that 20% of Filipinos have Chinese blood. So it's
Yes.
quite significant, no, Ami? Yun.
Yes.
20% lang?
Chinese ancestry, meron. Parang gano'n. That's
Yes.
quite big.
Ah.
Quite big. Ano?
May roots.
May roots tayo.
Roots.
Oo.
Parang
Pero tatanong ko si Ronald.
Parang si Ami.
Ako.
Ano yan?
Yes, my
Oh,
mother.
Lingao.
Sa Fujian.
Lingao.
Si
May Lingao province sa China eh.
Oh, yun.
Yes.
Have you tried to trace it, Ed?
May Lingao nuclear power plant.
Yeah, but do you know for a fact that somewhere in your ancestors line, meron kayong Chinese?
Bother. So, parang spelling, parang pang
Mas mukha kang Middle Eastern.
Ako talaga, mga kamag-anak ko, nagbabakasyon talaga sa Southern China.
Yun, okay.
Talaga.
Pero tanong
Trace namin
tanong
yung mga
natin to si
kamag-anak
Ronald,
namin.
are we, should we expect a showdown in Scarborough? During your time as presidential
Yes.
advisor for President Pinoy, nagkaroon ng standoff yon.
Stand-up. Tapos may kasunduan na mag-withdraw sabay. Tayo lang nag-withdraw.
So this time, mukhang, nag-scramble ng mga barko din ng China to go to headed for Scarborough Shoal.
Ang dami,
So
ah.
are we gonna see a showdown, possible showdown?
Yung sinabi ni Powell, initial lang yon. Baka marami pang humabol.
Yes.
Dahil, intimidation eh.
Yeah.
Tapos ang tingin talaga ng China sa Scarborough, kanila. No? Kaya
Territorial again.
Kaya
Territorial,
yung Coast
not
Guard
just
at Navy
easy.
natin, hindi masyado yung presence dyan. Must be far. Dahil sinusupply yung mangingisda sa Baho de Masinloc. No? Doon sila pumupunta.
Okay, the position of the government, the
Showdown.
official position of the government is they won't sanction this, unlike the first civilian convoy. Na I think may blessings ng National Security Council. This one does not. But at the same time, the Philippine Coast Guard announced that they will be there. They will
Yes.
make its presence
Ang
felt.
kaibahan, nung Christmas convoy, escort yung Coast Guard.
Right.
Dito, wala ang escort.
So it's not escorts.
So talagang purely civilian ito at walang malaking barko. Ito ay puro maliliit na mga fishing vessels na wooden. So pag winater cannon yan, lulubog yan.
So the Coast Guard has made it clear they are not escorting this convoy this time,
No.
but they will be there
They will be there. No?
to guide,
Halimbawa,
timbrean, pag delikado na yung sitwasyon, pag tagilid
pag may
na.
aksidente, pag may lumubog,
Okay.
kailangan nilang tulungan. Obligado naman sila.
Rescue.
Oo, rescue. Although, maliit lang yung Coast Guard vessel yata na nandun sa lugar. Hindi siya chopper capable. No? Minsan kasi, meron kasi mga Coast Guard vessels na chopper capable.
Okay, kaya mag-land. Ito yung mga barko naman nakasama sa convoy.
Puro maliliit yan.
Water cannon resistant ba naman sila?
Hindi. Dahil mga kaho yan, tsaka maliliit. Alam ko yung pinakamalaki,
Outrigger.
isang wooden fishing vessel na kasya ang 40 na tao. No? So, maliliit yan.
Mga bangkang malalaki
Oo.
that's used for fishing.
Yung 120 out of the sa 130 na sasama are mga bangka. Yung literally bangka, yung dalawang tao. No? Tapos yung...
Dalawang tao lang.
Oh, mga bangka talaga. Literally bangka. Na may
Outrigger.
motorboat. Na may motor. May motor. No? Tapos yung 2 to 3. Tapos yung 5 na mga vessels, ito yung mas malalaki ng konti, mga 30 people. No? Tapos yung mga 10 dyan, matutulog dun sa... Tawag doon?
Sa katig.
Sa katig. Oo. Dahil hindi kasya dun sa loob. So maliliit talaga yan.
Okay.
Kaya pag nakita nila yung mga Chinese vessels na pinapanood sila, magpo-proceed sila. Pag nakita nila na palapit, titikil sila. Pag nakita nilang pabilis, atras na sila. Paano malalaman mo kasi kung bubuksan na yung mga water cannon? No? Pag nakita mo binubuksan na yung water cannon, medyo magdalawang isip ka na mag-proceed. Pero sabi ng Coast Guard, 30 nautical miles away from Scarborough, safe pa yan.
30.
30. Pag lumapit ka na sa Scarborough,
Layo yun,
2010, yan ang delikado.
Bandarita Bok, this is Iba, Sambales ko sa mga galing yung convoy. Ito yung Scarborough. This is 119 nautical miles.
Yes.
Kabuuan to. So 30 nautical miles is 1/3 of that.
Yes.
Tama? Tama?
Yeah.
Yes.
Tatlong activity yan Ami.
Dito.
Yung unang activity
Yes.
sa 15, no, early morning, paglampas nila ng
1:45.
territorial water, maglalagay sila ng mga buoy na merong Philippine flag,
Bandito.
merong West Philippine
Oh,
Sea,
yung
atin ito,
dala-dala nila,
yung
yung
marka.
malalaki.
Mga buoy, mga 30-40 buoy. Tapos yung,
Yes.
sa ikalawang araw, sa May 16, pupunta na sila para supplyan yung mga mangingisda sa Baho de Masinloc. Paano meron na ron Meron na ron mga mangingisda na waiting.
Right.
No? Tapos yung last day, ay pupunta na sila dun sa traditional, itong mga kasama nilang mga barko, mga vapor, mangingisda naman sila. Dun sa traditional na pangisdaan nila. Tapos babalik na sa Subic. So 3 days practically.
Okay. They leave Subic or Zambales on Wednesday and they should get in the vicinity, arrive in the vicinity of Bao de Masinloc around Thursday.
Yes.
Ganun.
Tapos babalik
Kung
sila sa
makakarating,
Friday sa
ah.
Subic.
Kung makakarating.
Kasi mukhang iba blockade daw Mukhang blockade yun ang word na ginagamit ngayon.
Meron naman silang
Mukha
mga
siyang
tactics
iba-block
yata na gagamitin. Parang yung ginawa sa Ayungin, dun sa
Yes.
Christmas convoy. Yung bigger boat, hindi nakaabot. Pero yung smaller boat, na-dispose na yung kanyang mga dalang mga supplies.
Here you're talking about 100 vessels.
Yeah.
But I suppose not all 100 will try to get to Scarborough kasi kung pandalawang tao lang yung bangka nakatakot. Well,
Yeah.
it's open water na eh.
Yes, yung mga malalaking boats, yung
Sino
bigger boats
makakalusot?
ang tutuloy. No? Yung smaller boats hanggang EEZ. Hanggang easy.
Territorial
Hanggang sa 12,
border.
hanggang hanggang doon sila. So, ando kasama sila ng mga 5 hours.
Dito, banda rito.
Oh,
yung,
mga 5-6 hours. After nun, magbe-break away na sila. Pero may mga nauna na. Ang ginagawa kasi dyan, Ami, papunta ron, yung bigger boats, binubuhat yung smaller boats.
Kaya,
Oo,
Yeah.
dadalhin sila
Yes.
sa Baho de Masinloc,
Oh, ship.
tapos doon sila ibababa. Nakalagay doon sa katig.
Ah,
O kaya kinakaladkad. No? Tapos pagdating sa Baho de Masinloc, doon sila
Kanya-kanya,
papakawalan.
breakaway.
Para mangisda.
Okay.
No? Yeah.
ganun ang sistema
Ang
pala.
tanong dyan, may mga prominent persons ba nasasama, would you know?
Alam ko may mga pare at madre, sila Father Robert, may mga nuns, tapos meron din mga foreign missionaries na nakasama, merong 2 mayor na kasama, isang vice mayor, isang mayor sa Zambales, tapos isang mayor sa Aklan.
Yes.
Para ito yung first time na may presence ng mga local
Yes.
officials, no? At ikatlo, may mga environmentalists. Yun din yung bago. Dahil katulad ni Philip Camaran, dating USEC ng Department of Environment and Natural Resources, siya ngayon ay leader ng mga environmental groups dyan sa Zambales. So kasama siya dyan, no? Dahil malaking bahagi ngayon yung environmental component. Lalo na yung gobyerno mukhang pinag-aaralan mag-file ng bagong kaso sa UNCLOS based on environmental destruction
Yes.
ng West Philippine Sea.
Okay.
So yan yung mga bagong components dito sa trip na ito. At as usual, maraming media.
Yun, okay. I think makakasama din dyan yung kasama nating si Gretchen Ho.
Oo.
Yes.
Ano ba siya? Foreign media o local media?
Chinese media.
Both siya, both kasama.
Dinessage ko nga eh. Sabi ko, Gretz, tinatanong ni Ronald kung marunong kang lumangoy. Kung magaling ka lumangoy.
Ganun pala yan, oh. Pag yung, tumabo yung bangka, dapat lahat ng dapat pala lahat magkukumpul-kumpul eh. Dapat hindi hiwa-hiwalay, dapat kumpul. No? Parang kung sila magiging buwi. Dahil lahat sila
Yung
may
mga
life.
Yan ang
bangka,
ginagawa ng
Yung mga tao
China eh.
na nakasakay ng bangka, pag lumubog yung bangka, dapat magkumpul-kumpul sila. Hindi daw delikado
Yan ang ginagawa ng
maghiwa-hiwalay.
China, di ba? Nagsaswarm. That's the swarm.
Yeah.
That's the Chinese swarm. Dikit-dikit yung mga bangka.
Okay. Oo. During
Ganon
during
siya.
stormy weather, I think, Ami, that's what you're saying.
Hindi, yun ang pagpapatrol nila. Yun ang nirereklamo isa natin. Yan. Nagsaswarm yung mga Chinese boats na maliliit fishing vessel, pinagdidikit-dikit. Para siyang wall eh. Talagang the wooden wall of China eh. Pero although hindi yata sila wooden boat. Ano?
Pero
Wall
lahat
of China,
po-provide
ibang
ng
klase
sipol.
na.
Lahat ng sipol. Kung sakali, just in case.
Just in case.
Sipol lang ibibigay.
Para maririnig ka.
Sipol lang
Yung sipol ka. Eh, paano lahat ng gamit mo, itatapon mo, hindi mo naman dadali. Yung sipol ang pinakamahalaga. Para marinig ka kung sakaling gaganong-ganon ka sa tubig.
Parang Titanic naman dating nun, sumisipol si,
Hindi, sa Titanic.
si Jack.
Titanic, wala sipol eh.
Hindi, sumisipol si Jack.
May sipol
Si
sila nun.
si Rose.
Si Rose.
Si Rose.
Si Kate Winslet dun sa pelikula. Oo.
Kaya dito, pinagbawal ang mga seniors. Doon sa Christmas convoy, pwede yung seniors eh.
Malaki kasi mga barko.
Ngayon, medyo pinagbawal.
Pero Ronald, you think magiging agresibo ang China? Because this is going to be an optics war, no?
Ang problema kasi
Kahit
sa China,
David
audience
and
nila yung
Goliath
tao
siya
nila eh.
Okay.
Hindi nila audience yung mundo eh. Kaya wala sila masyadong pakialam eh. Kaya hindi ko i-underestimate yung kanilang yung kanilang aggression.
Oh.
But
So they will play to a domestic crowd,
Yes.
kumbaga China.
Yes. Ano bang gusto ng Chinese population na makita sa kanilang mga television? Yun ang mas mahalaga sa kanila.
But what preparations have you done as far as yung, in case of some eventuality na magka-problema?
Sipol.
Maliban sa sipol.
Dito.
Salbabida.
People, tapos pray ka kay Lord.
Kay life vest.
ano bang inaasahan mo magagawa?
Bagay, no?
Oo nga.
Wala naman tayong
Life
submarine.
vest.
Wala naman tayong chinook.
Si Father Robert na lang.
Oo.
Ayun, dumikit ka ron dahil malaki yung krus na dala niya.
at least
Pwede
lumutang,
lumutang yun eh.
Kaya nga, optics nga siya, di ba? Eh, yan ang makikita dyan eh. Imposible hindi naman,
matibay,
hindi naman
halimbawa,
completely
yung-
ang China sa international.
Matibay,
International.
Washington
Nabibullshit
Post,
nga sila
tuloy-tuloy
na
eh.
lagi may kasama ngayon media eh.
Tuloy sila. Yung
Di ba?
ibang mga
Kaya sila
media, yung
naiinis.
nalamang nagsaswarm ng China, may mga umatras eh. Yung mga Washington Post, tuloy-tuloy eh.
Talaga?
Oo.
Baka
Kaya
may
nga.
chopper sila nakapa. Kasi alam mo naman, mga pag foreign media, American media, they're complete with logistics and all that. At saka pera, no?
Tsaka kung pala eh, mahalaga pala yung may Coast Guard at saka BIFAR or Navy.
Oo, malaking bagay na.
Dahil may insurance yung mga foreign media eh. Pag nakasakay sa mga ganyan mga rickety, ragtag ng mga boats, parang wala silang insurance eh. No? Kaya mahalaga yung merong Coast Guard na para assured yung insurance ng mga media.
Has the
Ikaw ba
national-
may insurance ka? Nung sumama ka ron?
Has the National Security Council tried to dissuade atin to from continue or pushing through with this
Parang
convoy?
hindi naman. Dahil, tsaka yung atin nito, hindi naman humingi ng permiso. Nag-coordinate lang sila. Dahil civilian mission nga eh. No? Ibig sabihin, pwede ka namang lumarga eh.
But that also says a lot na medyo hinayaan ng National Security Council na matuloy ito.
Yes, parang yung civilian convoy nung December. Nung una, for one
Ayaw.
month, ayaw nila.
Ayaw nila.
Eventually, pumayag sila. Tapos, for the first time, pinayagan ng foreign media. Dati, walang forein media eh. Tapos, pinayagan yung simultaneous telecast. Dati, wala yun eh. Kanya, nego back and forth, no?
Yung dapat freedom to broadcast.
Oh, yung freedom to broadcast ng TV5, One News.
Tama.
May freedom vote pa kayo, di ba?
Kaya nga.
Wala palang signal.
Dapat yun ang ano.
Freedom to
Freedom
broadcast,
convoy,
wala naman
dapat
palang
yun.
signal.
Freedom convoy. Di ba? We're
Pumura ng subscription.
exercising our rights.
Yes.
Tama, pwede mo freedom yun, freedom.
So as far as the National Security Council is concerned or the BBM administration, medyo parang nilalaro ito. Ganon.
Yeah,
itong convoy na ito. They could easily, if they sense that this would jeopardize the position of the Philippines, they could easily say no, pigilan na ito.
Tingin ko very safe yung kanilang position dahil practically pinayagan nila, kahit sabi nila hindi sila kasama. So kung maganda yung resulta,
May deniability.
kung
diba?
pangit ang mangyari, may deniability. Kung maganda, pwede nila i-claim. Diba? So, ganun yung... o nga pala, Ami, may kasama rin na magsaysay awardee, si Bailon. The first fisherman na na-award ng magsaysay award.
Yes.
So, kasama siya dyan.
Kaya nga.
Yeah.
Kaya nga. Kaya ang sinusulong dyan, yung rights ng fishermen, yung environment, di ba? Merong messaging dyan eh. I don't think China can ignore that completely.
Yes.
Just for domestic audience.
Domestic at saka international.
Nila yan eh.
Halimbawa, yung Christmas convoy, nung na-meet ko si Chancellor Scholz ng Germany, si Macron ng France, at saka si Prime Minister ng Spain, si Sanchez,
Yes.
ang tinanong nila sa akin, yung Christmas convoy. Yung kasi yung napanood nila, yun yung nakita nila sa Der Spiegel, Le Monde, no? etc. So nagmarka siya. Nagmarka siya dahil gustong-gusto nila yung David versus Goliath. Gustong-gusto nila yung political judo. Parang a weak ragtag group facing the biggest navy in the world.
Kaya nga.
Nakuha mo yung imagination ng mundo eh.
Pero nag-U-turn tayo eh.
Hindi na nila alam yun. Hindi na nila alam yun. No? Ang alam nila ay lumusog. Lumusog.
May nakarating.
Pagdating ng Chinese Navy na dalawang battleship, umikot. Habang nagmimisa kayo, di ba?
Nag-smoke screen. Smoke screen. So, lumusot yung isa habang yung isa naging diversion.
Ngayon, walang smoke screen.
Ngayon smoke screen, 100 eh. Mas mahirap yan.
Kaso pag easy na, pag pupunta na ng baho si Bansinlok, hindi na ganun karami yun.
Apat na lang.
5.
Paano nga pala feeling noon, Bok, when you joined the Christmas convoy? Ano yan, di ba? Ang turning point dyan, there was some mass being celebrated on the deck.
Yeah, but I wasn't in the mass. I went up to the bridge. I was going to the bridge. I was about to make a call on the satellite phone. So I was dun sa wing ng bridge sa labas.
And you were aware that there were two Chinese Navy warships waiting on the horizon, ano?
Well, I was trying to get a signal. Nakita ko yung wake ng barko. Ba't kumukurba? Ba't kumukurba yung wake? Yung wake, yung alo ng yung nakikita ng kwit eh.
Lumiliko na pala.
Ang laki ng kurba ng gano'n. Tik-tik. Pasok ko sa bridge. Si Kapitan, nag-radio na sa Coast Guard. Balik na. Tik-tik.
It was a sudden decision by the captain of the boat?
Oh, it's a sudden decision. Pero, I mean, in the morning pala, sabi niya, ang warning na niya, at the slightest indication of threat, he might turn back.
The day before, nagkaroon ng water cannon sa Baho de Masinloc at saka sa Ayungin. Na-damage yung mga Coast Guard, tsaka Navy, tsaka supply ship. Medyo kinabahan na yung kapitan. Hindi naman membro ng atin ito yung kapitan.
Right.
Talagang isang private boat siya na pinahiram, parang ayaw masira.
Bok, si Prof. Richard Hidarian ay nasa linya. Ipasok na natin.
Sige.
Hello po, kamusta po? Naabutan niyo naman ako sa daan. Sige po.
Yan.
Alam ko, ibang gusto pag-usapan ni Richard. Pero sige, since nandito tayo sa West Philippine Sea at sa Baho.
Yan ang tunay na resident pandit nyo eh. De jure. Ako kasi de facto lang. Pag natin pag-usapan ko, kaibahan nun. Long time no see, Richard.
Oo nga eh, na-miss ko kayo.
Okay, Bob?
Sige. Itong mangyayaring atin to part 2 dun sa Scarborough Shoal, what do you think is going to happen here? Will China try to stop the convoy midway, or will it give some allowances? Or how is this going to play out?
Well, una-una dapat tignan natin yung situation sa West Philippine Sea. No? Mukhang ang strategy ng China is to degrade yung capacity natin for resupplying and patrolling the area. So yung mga binabangga nilang mga barko natin ng Philippine Navy, ng Philippine Coast Guard, syempre may limitasyon tayo dyan. Hindi natin masustain yan over time kung parati silang binabangga-bangga. So actually, ang question ko rin sa Philippine Navy at mga opisyales, how sustainable is the current strategy na nagpapabangga tayo? Shouldn't we do something more drastic? Something different? Maybe we should use also warships. Maybe we should also look at using water cannons. Again, these are just scenarios. kasi hindi po sustainable yung status quo. So ang kahalagan ng itong ating to contingent flotilla visit is to add a new layer into the conversation. Kasi yung China, focus lang sila so far dun sa degrading of yung resupply at saka patrol capacity natin, the Philippine Navy and Philippine Coast Guard. So ngayon na meron kang malaking presence ng civil society at media, obviously bagong headache na naman sa China yan. And let's be honest, as much as China wants to use violence or something aggressive, medyo cornered din sila kasi lumalabas talaga na bully sila eh. And in fact, the term bully is something they're very sensitive with. And a few weeks ago, yung kanilang foreign ministry had a big statement na, oh, this is a false narrative, we're not bully. Defensive sila, precisely because China wants to present itself as the responsible power. Na ang bully daw mga Western countries. So I think this is obviously quite tricky and risky. But the reality is that hindi pwede umasa lang tayo sa Philippine Navy and Philippine Coast Guard dun sa kanilang new strategy. So this might add new headache for China and give the Philippine Navy and Philippine Coast Guard some room to devise new strategies also dyan sa West Philippine Sea.
Pero Richard, let me just push it before I forget it. Kasi I think may binigit ka na parang we should reconsider and maybe possibly use water cannons as well. Wouldn't that be opening a bigger can of worms? Because it will give the sense of parang this can become a war of right thing. Might mix right. Might mix right. Water cannon mo kami.
Yes.
Yeah,
Babalatan ka namin ng water cannon. Palakasin tayo.
Yeah, whenever you're dealing with a bully superpower, you never escalate mindlessly. Kasi meron silang tinatawag na escalation domination. Kung maglabas ka ng barel, meron silang Armalite. Maglabas ka ng Armalite, may tanke sila, di ba? So you have to be very careful with you have to have a calibrated escalation. Ang akin naman, hindi ko sinasabi na dapat i-water cannon din natin sila. Pero ang sinasabi ko is meron tayong problem. Kasi while ang China ay mukhang bully dito, I think that's pretty clear. And agree naman ako kay Ronald, yung de facto analyst nyo na it's good that we're showing this to the world. Ang problema ko naman is medyo mukhang kawawa rin tayo minsan. As I always say, we should look like the David versus the Goliath, not yung kinakawawa lang, di ba? Hindi pwedeng kalawang lang yung boats natin, hindi tayo pwedeng nagpapabugbog. So we cannot be a punching bag. If you're a punching bag, you're not a David. If you're a David, you're robust, you're strong, you can stand your ground. So that's why I'm saying we have to think about new things. So siguro itong ating contingent will give some breathing space and perhaps may give some more courage and risk-friendly spirit to the situation. As I said, we cannot mindlessly escalate, but we cannot also be mukhang kawawa lang na pinapunching bag lang tayo. We have to find the Goldilocks escalation. Not too hot to provoke confrontation with China, but not too cold na mukha tayong helpless lang na binubugbog lang tayo dyan sa West Philippine Sea.
Okay,
We are in totally new territory here. No one has done this in the West Philippine Sea.
Okay,
so this is
Richard.
the first time this is happening. So obviously, there's going to be some risk and uncertainties. Inevitable yan.
Richard, the United States usually replies or responds to these incidents with the usual statement, ironclad commitment. But despite those repeated pronouncements, Richard, China has not shown any sign of backing down. How should we take this?
Yeah, because ang problema dyan with the whole U.S. ironclad strategy, whatever, is that applicable lang ito kung may armed attack. Diba? So far, gumagana yung U.S. element only insofar as avoiding the Chinese shooting at us with missiles and guns. Pero ang problema is, hindi siya gumagana when it comes to gray zone strategy. Now, the problem is, China is not just intimidating us. They're using water cannons, which are, according to Commodore Trinidad, who I interviewed also the other week, parang punching, dalawang Mike Tyson punch power yan, di ba? So we are somewhere in between normal gray zone and armed attack. So ang tanong ngayon is, anong gagawin ng US? And I think this is where we see the limitation of this alliance. That's why we have to come up with new ideas. Siguro, the other thing we could do, remember, the Mutual Defense Treaty applies when there's any attack on any public Philippine vessel. Ang kutob ko is best what we can do. Again, I could be wrong on this, but my understanding is at some point we have to use the Philippine Coast Guard, the biggest Philippine Coast Guard vessel, yung mga 90 meters, 80 meters, and then ilalagay mo on the horizon yung Philippine Navy warships, and then maybe the Americans have to be there. In short, we have to give the Chinese a taste of their own medicine of kind of a cabbage strategy. All right? We have multi-layered resupply and patrol. Again, that's not risk-free, but that may be just big enough for the Chinese to think twice. Kasi paano mo naman bubulin kung gagamitin natin yung pinakamalalaki natin mga barko? Then China will be flirting with war, and I think that they're not also going to want to flirt with war. So
Okay.
what I'm saying is the status quo is not sustainable. The next steps are risky, but they're options na hindi naman asking for trouble. So
Okay.
yun ang dapat hanapin natin. But we wouldn't know it until we try, right? We're all in an uncharted territory, so we also don't know what exactly is China's red line,
Okay.
how far they're willing to go.
Richard, yeah.
Richard, you think you mentioned that China is degrading the capability of our Coast Guard, military, Navy. You think they are degrading? In fact, nagkakaroon nga ng reason ng Coast Guard and Navy to
Upgrade.
boost their capabilities because of all these attacks.
Yeah, so over the long run, we're boosting our capability, di ba? Nag-AF modernization tayo,
Yes.
we're getting new vessels.
Oh.
The Japanese are going to give us more, 90 meters, 100 meters. Ang problema is in the short run, di ba? If you want to do regular patrols, kung purong damage yung boat mo every other week or every week, at medyo mahirap na you continue to. So over the long run, things are looking good. But over the short run, kung they keep on damaging our boats, medyo mahirapan ka to do this more regularly. So meron kang trade-offs dyan. Meron kang mga trade-offs dyan.
Okay, Richard, to Ronald's point a while ago, might you be framing this thing in a Western narrative or perspective when China's actions are being dictated or decided more by its home court, its home audience, not so much with a care for how this might go down in Western public opinion?
For me, there's a third audience, right? So there's one audience, which is the domestic audience. The second audience is the Western international, you're correct. But the third audience is ASEAN audience. Ang basa ko dito is, we have to be careful in a sense that we should also not give China propaganda ammunition to other ASEAN countries. Kasi ang linya ng China is, hindi sila yung bully, tayong provocateur. So I think so far we're winning the domestic PR game. We're winning
Okay.
the Western international PR game.
Okay.
But I don't think we're winning over our ASEAN neighbors. So very good question. Thank you for that question. I think that's why whenever we do something, we have to make it sure how is this read by other ASEAN countries, particularly the Indonesias, Vietnams, and Thailands, and Singapore. Well, yung mga Cambodia, ganun, medyo wala na yan. Hindi natin ma-convince mga yan.
So
Pero
answer-
yung mga medyo nasa gitna, medyo ingat tayo na we don't give them ammunition to say, oh, kayo pala mga Pilipino, magulo pala kayo, kayong provocateur, tapos
Richard,
aasa kayo sa amin.
how are our neighbors in ASEAN reading this?
Well, so far, they're not very supportive, right? So I think Malaysia clearly sees us as the provocateur as far as on war is concerned. Indonesia is still feeling its way kasi may transition tayo from Jokowi to Prabowo, but my sense is Prabowo will be more assertive over the long run. Singapore just got a new prime minister, so they're not in a position to. And so Vietnam, as you know, is going under major political upheaval right now. So they're also not in the mood to pick a fight on China, right? So actually, the timing with ASEAN is not so good. So hindi tayo pwede umasa masyado in the short run. But nevertheless, my point is we have to fight back against this Chinese propaganda in ASEAN na tayo ang pasimuno or tayo ang tayong tuta ng Amerika na nagpo-push dito. So we're winning the international Western audience, you're right. We're winning the Filipino audience, but the ASEAN audience, we also have to win it. So yun yung challenge sa akin. And to be honest, I don't have an exact answer at this point. All I'm saying is wag natin kalimutan yung audience na yan.
Richard, in relation sa sinabi ni Patrick kanina, yung tinanong niya, yung conduct ng US, naalala ko lang doon sa press con ng atin ito last week, nandun si Justice Carpio. Tinanong siya ng media kung ano yung, kung pwede bang i-invoke ng Pilipinas yung Mutual Defense Treaty kung sakaling i-water cannon at magkaroon ng casualties dito sa civilian mission na ito. Ang sabi ni Justice Carpio, hindi. Dahil hindi ito mga military vessels. These are purely civilian vessels. So, worst case scenario ay wala rito yung usapin ng MDT.
Oh, okay.
Mas ang tanong ay, ano ba yung magiging conduct ng US dito sa ganitong klaseng aggression? Dahil kakatapos lang ng balikatan, no? I'm sure most of their vessels are still here. So, halimbawa, an incident happens. Will the Americans proceed dun sa area na panito? Dahil isang Coast Guard vessel lang yun nandun at this time. At maliit lang siya.
Yeah.
So, anong tingin mo, Richard, yung magiging conduct ng ating allies kung sakaling magkaroon dito ng dramatic escalation ng China vis-a-vis this civilian convoy.
Right. Again, there's a big space between inaction by China and invocation of the Mutual Defense Treaty. So tama, hindi mag-apply Mutual Defense Treaty dito. But if you have Filipinos getting killed, God forbid, injuries, media persons involved, this is going to put a lot of diplomatic pressure on the Biden administration to do something in this part of the world. So my suspicion is at the very least there will be expulsion of some Chinese diplomats. There's already a call for that because of their alleged involvement in disinformation. I think there's going to be some diplomatic downgrading, probably some back and forth economic measures. The U.S. most likely will do some major drills and patrols in the area. So again, ang problema sa natin is we're thinking about 0 and 10. 10 being the Mutual Defense Treaty application and 0 being U.S. not doing anything. My sense is there's a lot that can be done in the middle in terms of diplomatic economic measures. And let's not forget, this is not only about the Philippines, right? This is about America's position in Asia. Ang malaking kritisismo sa Amerika ngayon is masyado siyang involved sa mga ibang gyera. Whether it's Ukraine, na mukhang malabo na yung situation, or whether ito ay nasa Gaza or Israel, di ba? Na parang ang tagal naman ng conflict na yan. So many people are saying that Biden is not prioritizing correctly, right? And that he has to focus more in Asia. Because if something happens to Filipinos, the Taiwanese are going to say, what about us if something happens to us, right? The Koreans are going to ask questions. So my point is, if something happens there, even if it doesn't hit the threshold of Mutual Defense Treaty, there will automatically be a lot of pressure on Biden to do something big in this part of the world. So if you're China, you know that even if hindi mag-apply Mutual Defense Treaty, there will be some strong response by the United States precisely because of the political conditions that I've been talking about. Let's not forget, malapit ang elections sa US, Biden cannot look weak, particularly when it deals with China, which according to 40% of Americans is their biggest external threat. So you have to also look at the domestic politics in the U.S. and the pressure on Biden to show strength in this part of the world.
Isn't Biden more concerned right now, Richard, with
Elections.
well, of course, with elections are coming, but wouldn't Gaza be his bigger concern or his bigger headache? Because the domestic audience in America is all about, you're seeing scenes na reminiscent of
Campuses.
1968 in campuses, yung mga encampments sa mga estudyante. Isn't that the bigger concern of Biden? And that this concern, this problem with China, even though this is a larger geopolitical contest, can take the backseat for now. Richard, I take the fact that Blinken had to fly to Beijing to meet with President Xi as a sign that the U.S. does not want any trouble with China at the moment.
Well, actually, Blinken raised issues with the Ukraine issue, right? So he was there actually to warn China not to help Russia more. Otherwise, their companies are going to face sanctions. So actually, they're linking different issues. The Gaza issue is different from Asia in a very important sense. In the Gaza issue, the U.S. ally is the powerful party. So the pressure is on Biden not to give more armaments to the more powerful party, which is now conducting the military operation. In Asia, it's America's allies who are the weak party, right? Or the militarily weak party and the vulnerable party. So the nature of those two disputes is completely different, right? But having said that, if you look at the surveys in the U.S., they don't see North Korea, Iran, or Russia as the number one threat to the United States. And the numbers are huge. More than 40% see China as the number one threat to the United States. So the Rafah issue, the Gaza issue is, should U.S. bankroll the ongoing military operation by essentially giving the bomb? The issue in Asia is different. Should we be with our weaker allies who are being bullied by a powerful China? So you're absolutely right that the Gaza issue is taking a lot of attention, but it's from a very different angle if you look at it.
Okay. Ronald? Okay. Thank you, Richard.
As always, pleasure. Maraming salamat. And
Salamat, Richard.
back to analyst nyo.
Okay, that was Richard Darian, our
Official. President
No, yes, Richard has a show with us,
Yes.
The View from Manila. Okay, that was geopolitical analyst Richard Darian.
Ami, may kakalabas lang ngayon sariwang-sariwa, yung statement ni Yusek Malaya tungkol dito sa convoy, urging China not to permit the convoy to reach Scarborough. No? At parang sinasabi niya na ito ay mga civilian Wala naman tong military threat. No? At may mga prominent personalities na kasama rito, kaya sana ay wag iharas. No? Medyo mahaba yung statement ni Yusek Malaya ng National Security Council. Pero ito yung first time na nagsabi sila na kailangan ay payagan ng China itong convoy na ito.
Maybe we should read a line or two.
Sige, sige.
Yeah, bakit papayagan?
Okay,
Bakit
Ami,
papayagan?
yeah, maybe we can read a line or two from the statement of
Yeah.
National Security Council
Sige,
Assistant
sige.
Director General
Okay.
Jonathan Malaya. The NSC on Monday urged China to permit the civilian group Atenito Coalition to proceed with its peace and solidarity regatta towards Bajo de Masinloc, also referred to as Scarborough Shoal, located in the West Philippine Sea. NSC ADG Jonathan Malaya highlighted the situation following reports of a significant number of Chinese Coast Guard vessels and maritime militia accumulating along the planned route of the convoy. So, that's it. So,
Ano yung direct quote? Kasi hindi yata maganda yung salitang permit. Why are we asking China to permit?
Yeah.
good
Ano
point from
yung
Ami.
direct quote na ron?
Mukhang na,
Mali yata yun,
mukhang
Si Ami
need some
nakita ng ano.
careful wordsmithing
Yeah,
pa, no?
baka,
Parang ganun.
baka hindi lang
Oo
na-edit
nga
na
eh.
maayos. dapat
Baka
iba
yung
yung
direct
ginamit na
quote,
salita,
ibagin
hindi
namin.
permit.
Ang talas din ni Ami. Napansin
Baka
niya.
may Chinese answers single one. Ano?
Hindi dumaan sa kwan eh. Hindi dumaan sa editor ng Philippine Star. yung,
Kasi kapag ganun, sigurado, we welcome you ng China. Okay, we will permit you.
Well, to your point, Ami, no. Eto baka lalo ka ma-trigger. I'll use a
Basahin
statement
mo ba?
with the quote talaga, no. Okay, open quote. We respectfully request the People's Republic of China to respect the passage of these civilian ships.
Okay na yun,
Respectfully
respect.
request.
Pwede na yun, pwede na.
Parang permit din yun,
Pwede
Ami.
na yan.
pero mas diplomatic na
Okay na yun.
Diplomates ang
Buti nga
tawag
hindi
dyan.
beg eh.
Pwede na yun. We're not surrendering our claim kapag ganun. To respect lang.
Anyway, to Director General, Assistant Director General Malaya's point, these are civilian ships daw.
Yeah.
Yun. Pero a good point you raised a
Yes.
while ago na in case something happens, they're not covered by MDT.
Yes.
Because the MDT only refers to armed attacks on public vessels.
Yes.
And these are civilian vessels.
Very civilian.
Very
Mga bangka eh.
So walang ganun. But
Fisherman yan eh.
Pero sabi nga ng mga embassy kanina, hindi ko na sabihin kung sino, at least 6 embassies, sabi nila, the whole world is watching. Yun ang kanya.
Yes.
Yun ang sinabi nila.
May foreign media.
Lalo
pa
na
kasama.
kalahati nung 60 media na nandun ay foreign media. Like Washington Post. Ibig sabihin, kung yan ay tatamaan, may mga foreigners na nandun. Meron ngang 5 na international observers eh. From Sweden, from Japan, no? Sri Lanka, nakasama rin doon. So ito yung first time na may foreign observers. At saka ito yung second time na merong mga media. At hindi lang yung mga no? Washington Post nandiyan, no? Iba pang mga kilalang mga media outlets. So kung magkakaroon ng incident,
Like One News.
tulad ng One News, no? Represented by the formidable Gretchen Ho, na marunong lumangoy.
although sabi hindi rin masyadong magaling. Pwede na. Kumapit lang siya dun sa diba, kapit-kapit lang sila.
Or pumunta siya dun sa Chinese Coast Guard.
Yun.
Dahil
Sabi lang niya apelido niya.
sabi lang niya, apelido niya.
Kaya talaga.
Oo nga. Baka sabihin, Vietnamese siya.
But I get what Richard was saying na this might not be the time for Biden to appear weak kasi mag-election.
Yeah.
But that's one way of looking at it. The other way of looking at it din kasi is, as a US president, you don't want to risk American lives just before the elections in another war half a world away.
Yeah, pero
But that's also another
pero
thing.
depende yan dahil most of their aircraft carriers are here. Merong 2 sa Middle East, sa Mediterranean. Siguro may isa dun sa Baltic Sea, no? Pero most of them, do sa 16 aircraft carriers ng US, nandito sa Pacific. Kaya hindi naman pwedeng sabihin na they're stretched too thinly. Dahil mas marami rin dito.
Ronald,
Yeah.
the elections are in November,
Yeah.
and the West Philippine Sea is nowhere in the consciousness or awareness of the
They don't even know where
American,
it is.
American
Hindi.
voting public.
China is in the consciousness. Kaya nga binalan TikTok.
Pag TikTok siguro.
Kaya nga binan,
Okay.
ang dahilan kaya binan is because ang may control nito is China. Data analytics. So ibig sabihin China is in their consciousness.
Okay.
No? Perhaps not
It's
the
a China
Philippines,
issue.
pero not the West Philippine Sea dahil ang alam nila diyan South China Sea. Pero China tingin ko could be an election issue. Pero wala namang yung Republicans naman hindi naman ginagamit yung China against Democrats eh. So hindi siya magpaaway.
So, sabi nga nila, bipartisan issue.
Yeah, yung TikTok nga, yung pag-ban ay bicameral eh. Republicans and Democrats
Nagkakaisa.
voting
Kahit si
against
Trump. Si
against
Trump,
TikTok.
hardliner yan sa China.
Si Trump lang ang
Trump
ayaw.
is a hardliner. Hindi mag-iiba yan. Hindi mag-iiba yan. Saka consistent naman ang foreign policy ng US eh.
Bok, we need to take a break kasi magtatapos ang programa. Wala pa tayong break. Mga guys, sa direct. Watch the Storycon News. We just need to take a quick break. We'll be right back.
This is the Story Conference Group or the Storycon Group. We've got the developing news and the stories behind the headlines. This is Storycon. I'm Patrick Paez.
I'm Lingao. Also with us, Pamintuan and Ronald Llamas.
Cebu City Vice Mayor Raymond Alvin Garcia takes over as mayor after the suspension of Mike Rama. For more details, let's bring in One News Cebu desk and Freeman editor Dale Israel. Dale, kamusta ang first day ni Acting Mayor Garcia?
Yes, ngayong hapon, Patrick, Ed, Annie, and Ronald. Doon na yung mga changes karon ang City Hall on the first day of Acting Mayor Raymond Garcia. It's actually his first full day as mayor of Cebu City after assuming the post Friday afternoon. 3 new appointments are made. One of the first appointments made was lawyer Christine Joyce Batocan as the new city administrator. She was once with the city legal office, and now he's also one of the legal advisors of the vice mayor. Diesel Calamba will also be acting city assessor, and he will also be bringing his own chief of staff, Sam Salimbago, at the office of the vice mayor to become the chief of staff of the mayor's office. Now, the two positions, city administrator and assessor, are also left vacant because they are also suspended for 6 months by the ombudsman along with Mayor Michael Rama. In a speech this morning,
Dale?
Yes.
Yeah, Dale. It seems like Mayor Rama's quietly or peacefully yielded the office of the mayor. Is this because the vice mayor is also a political ally?
That's correct. Actually, that is what he assured the City Hall employees this morning, that Garcia says that he will remain ally with Mayor Rama, and he calls for unity among the City Hall department heads and employees, and is asking them to continue to work with him because he remained an ally with Mayor Rama. And Mayor Rama now is actually in Manila to trying to file an appeal before the Supreme Court.
Pero Dale, kahit kasi political ally sila, hindi ba pwedeng magkaroon ng sariling idea si Vice Mayor, now Mayor Garcia, na ituloy-tuloy na niya yan?
Especially because
the governor is also Garcia. Ito ba yung first time na yung mayor ng Cebu tsaka governor ng Cebu province ay parehong Garcia?
So it has been a long time since a Garcia and a Garcia are sitting mayors and governor. The last time was when Governor Pabling Garcia was governor, and then the mayor was the father of Raymond, Alvin Garcia was also Garcia. I'm not sure what year was that, but it's a long time ago that there's a Garcia and a Garcia, and we are seeing we're seeing better relations with the city government and the provincial government now that the nephew of the governor is the sitting mayor of Cebu City.
Dale, with this takeover, are you seeing any changes? Halimbawa, mga projects that might be suspended by the acting mayor? Meron kaya mga maapektuhan dyan ng mga projects?
We are seeing, or probably seeing, let's say that they had better relations, so there might be resolutions to some of the conflicting issues between Rama and Governor Garcia before, like the Cebu BRT, like the issues on the Metro Cebu Water District, and of course the one that recently Mayor Rama issued another order on the Cebu on the bus terminals of the province, asking them to pay their taxes, and I think there should be a resolution on that issue too.
Adele, sabi si Mayor Rama daw ay magfo-focus na lang sa pag-organize ng PDP. Baka lalo siyang hindi makabalik.
That's correct. That's what he said. What he said, that he will be focused on strengthening PDP. From the Visayas, he will go to the barangays and even to the city levels to strengthen the grasp of the PDP Laban Party or the PDP Party.
Anong sentimento ni Mayor na dahilan kaya kasi ang sinasabi ng iba, all LGU officials naman merong mga kaso. Pero depende kung nasan ka sa administrasyon saka kayo tutuluyan would you be aware of the sentiments of the mayor about this? Kasi sabi nga pinayagan mo kasi si Rodrigo Duterte mag-rally-rally dyan. Kaya ayan, nangyari. Meron ba ganon?
Sabi talaga.
But actually, Mayor Rama said that he was politicized when the suspension was politicized because of the. We had an interview with him last Thursday night,
Yes.
and during the rally, after the rally actually, and he said that he was being politicized because of the swiftness of the suspension order of a case that was filed last February.
Filed in February and
Nung
suspended
supporters niya.
April.
by April.
Bilis na.
Mabilis na.
Yes, ang bilis eh.
Dalawang buwan.
Yung mga supporter, wala naman mga mass action dyan na gano'n, mga kahit man lang expression of support for him. Wala bang mga gano'n?
The only one was the gathering of supporters on Thursday night. There was a prayer rally, there's a mass, and then there's a speech of the supporters of the mayor. None so far. Actually, Mayor Rama said that he will not be using his supporters, and he will not be clinging on to the office if the suspension order comes in.
Okay.
Okay. Maraming salamat. Dale Israel, Freeman Editor, and One News Cebu Desk. Thank you, Dale.
Thank you, Dale.
Okay.
Sino kaya mga susunod?
Yeah.
Na
Nawala na siya.
masususpend?
Well, okay. As a political watcher, do you have any name in
Yes.
mind? Sino pa dyan yung mga ano?
Well, so far wala masyado dahil karamihan, halimbawa sa Congress, karamihan naman nag-support na kay Speaker at kay BBM. No?
Governors.
Wala namang mga holdouts. Tapos maraming mga governor nagpartido federal na. Dahil sinasapuso kasi nila yung mga prinsipyo ng Partido Federal. Tsaka yung kanilang ideologiya.
Federalism.
Yeah.
Baka sa pamapunta yung usapan natin. Okay. Thank you for joining the Storycon today. I'm Pamintuan, Editor-in-Chief of the Philippine Star, and Ronald Llamas, former Presidential Advisor for Political Affairs and resident political pundit of One News. Join us again tomorrow
President ka na.
at 4 p.m. for the Storycon. I'm Patrick Paez.
I'm at Lingao. We are One News, all sides, all the time.
This is the Story Conference Group or the Storycon Group.